Well, good morning, Northern Colorado. How's it going? It's 10:25. We just got the news. Kevin Lytle from the Fort Collins, Coloradoan. I hope we're going to have him on the show, but just tweeted out moments ago that multiple sources tell me, Kevin, CSU football player, mandatory meeting at 11, so in about 30 minutes, with Joe Parker. Steve Addazio will not return as head coach. How are we feeling about that? Steve Addazio's no more. Never felt like a good fit. It got progressively worse as the season went along. And I'll be honest, I thought for sure Addazio would be back next season because of just the way these things go. Joe Parker not getting the full 2020 season and all that, but it just got so much worse. And I think I talked about this on Monday, his responses to the media, some of the things he said. I mean, it's not inviting. You're not winning over anyone. I said this on Monday, if you're not winning games, you got to do other things until that hopefully happens, meaning be nice. I mean, to put it mildly, I'm not saying we need like a cookie cutter guy just sucking up to the fans all the time, but just some of the things that were said throughout the course of the season, and every press conference just got a little bit worse. And I'm not just talking about the media. Obviously getting ejected last Saturday, down 28-0. That hurts. So the Steve Addazio era is over quickly. I saw my guy Brian Howell from Buff Zone just tweeted, the first coach in a long time, I don't have it in front of me, first coach in a long time to be the CSU coach in a long time, to not face the Buffs. Never face the Buffs, which is going to happen more and more as we distance ourselves from the consistent Rocky Mountain Showdown, which is unfortunate. But that's it. Joe Parker did it. I'm shocked. I didn't think it was going to happen. I really didn't. I thought for sure he was going to hold off, float for next year, put out some release that said, hey, this is unacceptable. We have to get back to winning as soon as next year. Rams fans, we hope you come out. But my guess is, and I mean, kudos to you, fans, Twitterverse, the world. I think that stuff counted. Fans have power. Social media can be vile, can be terrible, but it can also be a great tool. And I think that social media, I think that people not going to the stands, probably the bigger one, not filling up the stadium, that's a big one. That's certainly a big one. And I think Saturday was an embarrassment for Colorado State in general. So what's next? Addazio gone. Will we have some kind of press conference? Keeping my eye out for that as we roll along. Again, we're going to be on at noon today. Hopefully we can catch up with Kevin Lytle of the Fort Collins, Colorado, and see what he knows. But will there be some kind of a press conference after Parker meets with the students? We'll find out. What does this mean? Is Tony Alford next? Is he the next head coach? This story earlier in the week, or yesterday, I guess it was 2 days ago, out of the Columbus Dispatch, that Ohio State running backs coach, Tony Alford, told the Dispatch on Tuesday night that he turned down an offer by new LSU coach Brian Kelly to join him in Baton Rouge. What does that mean? Does that mean anything? That's the hire, right? That's the move we all wanted to see 2 years ago. And then we get through this system where, all right, Parker's bringing in Butch Jones, all these other candidates that didn't, meet the criteria of high character guy. And then we get Addazio. And I'm not saying Addazio, I'll let you guys vet through that. Just from his responses all season, what you want to say about his character. It was just didn't feel like the right fit. Last year, 2020, I said it several times, you give everybody unless it's really bad stuff, which some could argue. I mean, again, the Coloradoan had a bunch of different articles about the culture surrounding Colorado State, both in the Bobo era and then the short-lived Addazio era. But this is where we are. It was the right move. It was the move that needed to happen. The fan outcry was getting. I mean, we did our own polls on our show, and I know that's a small sample size of stadium full of people in the city of whatever, of Fort Collins, but people were starting to speak. I'm getting texts, people blowing me up here today. We're going to talk about all of it today. Will Tony Alford be the next coach? Is that the only move? Will it work? Does he want to? I'm guessing, right? Unless he feels like he was spurned last time around. But that seems to be the move. That I saw somebody on Twitter, and this is perfect. They said, "What the best thing that you could possibly do if you're Joe Parker is you move on from Addazio on Thursday, you hire Tony Alford on Friday, he's in Fort Collins on Saturday, just in time for the CSU St. Mary's basketball game, and he's in attendance." Says something. It's a new day for Colorado State, and I think everybody wanted this. I know there were some solid players with the Rams that had his back, and I don't fault any of them for that. That's admirable. But you have coaches flying around right now, hired, fired, quitting, moving on, left and right. I can't even keep track. We're going to try. We have the tracker up right now, so we'll refresh that. But we're going to hit that hard today on the whole show. Again, 103.1, 1310 KFKA. Your thoughts on this? We're going to get to it. If you guys want to text the show throughout the day, throughout the program, we start at noon Mountain Time. If you're watching this from somewhere else, we're going to get after it. We're going to try to hopefully get Kevin on right at 12. But I don't know. Are we getting? I'm refreshing my email, seeing if there's going to be some kind of press conference that we can go to with Joe Parker. But he's going to meet with the players. Looks like in about 30 minutes, and go from there. There was just no. It just felt like it. You know, watching him run off the field into the back into the locker rooms on Saturday, down 28. I mean, there was really no other way. In fact, I'm shocked, but I think I would have been disappointed at this stage if they wouldn't have made the move, because it was time. It got too bad. You know, I always have said this. You give a coach 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, two's minimal. Too minimal. Spit that out. You give a coach 3 to 4 years, and unless it's just really bad, unless the trajectory from game one of your coaching career with CSU continues to just go down. And I would say, save for San Jose State and New Mexico and Toledo, Iowa, but it was still a loss, whatever. It was going downhill. You finished the season, it just got worse as we progressed. There was no other way. And now this is a very big thing, a big situation coming up for CSU. Big steps. Because whoever they hire, I mean, come on, is it Tony Alford? Is that who it's going to be? This LSU news is interesting. But whoever it is, wouldn't you say Joe Parker's job is officially on the line if this coach can't do it? But he buys himself a heck of a lot of time if he hires Tony Alford, because fans love him. He would be a young coach kind of growing with the system. The reason you don't hire, when you hire an Addazio, you are essentially saying we're going to get this off to a fast start. Don't know what the ceiling is, but we want to get this thing rebuilt quickly. That was the idea, right? That's why when Addazio was talking about building brick by brick by brick by brick by brick, we were getting confused, because we're like, wait a second, you hired him because he has a base, a coaching base. He's a 500 type coach, but at least he has a coaching base. So when you hire a coach like Steve Addazio, a guy that's done it for a while, quite a while, you are saying to the fan base, we are going to get this thing at least up to average. Getting phone calls. Up to average. Let me mute that. quickly. We're going to get this thing back on track quickly. And that was just not the case. So when you heard Addazio say, we are going to build this brick by brick, whether we win the next two or not, you can see why fans, even us fans that don't know the game, right? We don't know football, look at that and say, what's going on? Trying to mute this. There we go. Got it figured out. It's a lot to take in. I'm a little shocked. But like I said, I think I would have been disappointed had it not happened. I'm sure you guys are feeling good. I'm sure Rams Nation is feeling pretty good. What's the next step? Boy, it wasn't that long ago. It was right before the pandemic hit the United States of America. We had 3 new coaches announced that year in Northern Colorado, if you want to count Boulder. In that same time. They weren't announced at the same time, but within that time frame. Mel Tucker had left. Carl Durrell, later hire. The Bears hired Ed McCaffrey. CSU hired Steve Addazio. I was walking to the press conference for Steve Addazio, and my phone's blowing up. And the Bears hired Ed McCaffrey. They announced their hire that day as I was walking to Canvas Stadium for Addazio's introduction. So I'll remember that day forever. It was crazy because I do feel like whether the Bears planned it or not, some thunder was stolen that day. And Addazio did his spiel. Okay, let's see what he has to say. He nailed the press conference, the opening press conference. Away we go. The first year, they went 1-3 because they only played 4 games. Most of their games were canceled with COVID stuff. The Utah State game was something a little bit different, as we've talked about. You beat Wyoming. That was kind of the highlight. The next year, it started off terribly. South Dakota State, I get it, a good FCS team, but you expect CSU to win. Vanderbilt, a bad SEC team. You expect the Rams to win. And then you go to Toledo, who shocked us all. They beat Toledo. Thinking, okay, well, who knows? Maybe this thing's taking hold. Then they're beating Iowa. Crazy things were happening, and we're thinking, maybe this is sticking. Then they were off, right? Didn't they have a bye? Maybe not. But then they played. The next game was against San Jose State, and they beat. And at the time, San Jose State was playing pretty good football. Starkel was out, and still won. Then New Mexico. All right, 2 conference wins in a row. They started out 2-0, and I think they were on top of the conference for a brief moment. And you thought maybe this is taking hold, and then all hell broke loose. The Utah State game with the weird ending where the kicking team ran out rather than spiking it and taking your time and setting it up. That was a fiasco. You're up 13-0. Wasn't it 13-0 to Boise? Boise comes all the way back and wins that. So, and then the rest, Hawaii, bad game, Wyoming, Air Force, Nevada. Things got worse. So bye-bye, Steve Addazio. Will Joe Parker be talking to the media at all? Any kind of press conference? We'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll hope to get Kevin Lytle of the Fort Collins, Colorado, and that's where I saw it first. He does a great job of covering the Rams. So tune into the show today. It's going to be jam-packed with Addazio stuff. So 12:05, we jump in Mountain Time on 103.1 if you're in the Greeley-ish area, 1310 if you're in Northern Colorado and even Denver. You can also listen online, 1310kfka.com. If you guys do not have the TuneIn app, I suggest you get it. It's very easy. It's free for our show anyway. So get that app. That way you can listen to us wherever you go. So tune in at noon. We're going to be ready to rock and roll. We got CSU talk coming up. I'll hit a little bit about the Nuggets, CSU basketball. CU basketball in the second half last night was all right. So we got a lot to get to. That'll do it. So tune in on 103.1 and 1310 KFKA. Talk at you soon, hooligans.